Good afternoon, gentlemen, and good afternoon to all our listeners. Welcome to July 6th with the Conspiracy Keepers. My name's Backlash LaRue, and I'm sitting here with our chairs, Scooter McGee and Joe Monaco. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
All right. Nice chatting with you guys again. It's been a little while.
It has been. I apologize. I've been flying like crazy.
That's all of us. I mean, we gotta. Everybody's got a busy life, but it's hard to all get together. We really value the time we do.
Going on.
Sure has been.
I mean, Richard Donner. I had to watch Lethal Weapon last night for S&Gs. What are you guys up to? What do you want to talk about today besides the hurricane that took a left or anything that's going on in the District of Criminals?
Yeah, well, we've got that. We've got another building collapse, and we've got Bill Cosby. We've got lots of things have been happening. Lots of things have been happening. And as usual, we're going to tell you what's really going on. It's never at face value. Never look at the TV and take things at face value. That's not how the world works. That's why we're here, to tell you what's really happening.
The court of public opinion now encourages district attorneys to go back on their deals, non-disclosure agreements, and anything else, and are claiming this is a miscarriage of justice. Bill Cosby was railroaded. He was used for political purposes. The system worked, and he won on appeal, which is what many said was going to happen. And this women's movement that says, we're just needing to be louder. Yeah, go F yourself.
Well, I don't agree with that. And I'll tell you why. I've got something that most people don't have. And I know the what?
You have the facts?
Well, I'm friends with one of his victims.
And you know what, Joe?
What's that?
I am friends with a victim as well.
Okay.
And yeah,
and I definitely want to hear what you've got to say. I'll say it before you go. And she won't let me telling her name because she's been on TV all over the place. Her name is Victoria Valentino. And she's been a friend for a long time. I've talked to her for hours on the phone, not about that, but about other things. She's also been a hospice nurse. I've had some people pass away, and I wanted to know how hospice worked and like that. But anyway, she's been a friend for a long time. I know her and her daughter. She's a 78-year-old grandmother. She was his victim. She's not lying. She has no reason to lie. He's guilty as hell. But that said, that's not what this is all about. You have to understand how the whole concept works, how the world works. It works on blackmail. Bill Cosby is guilty as hell, but he's been doing it for 50 years. The powers that be knew he was doing this. Okay, they knew he was doing this. They knew what he was all about. Okay, so what happened was, because the whole world works on blackmail for the people up at the top of the pyramid, if you get out of line, if you say anything you're not supposed to say, if you basically double cross your controllers, they will blackmail you. They will let the secret out. That's what happened to him. Okay, so he's been doing this 50 years with women for a long time. Now, we don't know what he did, but he did something, said something, made somebody mad at the top with his controllers. So they got the victims, they brought them out. They brought the victims out, they sent him to prison, and they gave him a chance to back off on whatever he was doing, whatever he said, whoever he pissed off. He didn't do it. He called their bluff. They sent him to prison. So he's sitting in prison saying, well, maybe I should rethink this. So he made amends to whoever it is that he pissed off, and they let him out. That's how this thing works. That doesn't mean that he didn't do it because they let him out. That doesn't mean the justice system worked. That means there's a whole story behind this whole thing that people aren't getting. That's how the world really works.
Okay, so Joe, I wanted to interrupt with, what do you think Bill Cosby, he stepped off the reservation or he did something
exactly
to fall out of grace,
right? Is
what you're saying. I'm just curious if you have an idea what it might have been.
I don't know. And a lot of times there's no way for us to know, because remember, there's a whole government inside the government. These people operate on a completely different timeline and completely different rules, and it's hidden. So whatever he did was probably behind doors with somebody way up high on the pyramid. So and it's probably not going to ever be let out as to what he did.
And let me qualify what I was saying about Cosby. Bill Cosby in court admitted to doing what he was doing. And yes, Joe, you are absolutely correct. This was behavior that he had been exhibiting for decades.
Oh, yeah.
And that the industry knew, fellow comedians knew, directors, producers, actors, actresses, etc. But at the end of the day, the mob mentality wants to override constitutional due process. If you enter a non-disclosure agreement and violate it in the old days, you went to prison. You went to jail. Now it's just, we need to gang up on you. So I'm not claiming Bill Cosby by any stretch is innocent based upon his own testimony. And I do agree with Joe 100%. He's one of the chess pieces that the globalists use. He may not be a chess player, but he's certainly a chess piece. And the ultimate thing, and the joke I started with the show of the when you're able to infect, and I use that word specifically, infect and affect and entire generations of children like Sesame Street, the Cosby Kids, all of Fat Albert. We're in a very dangerous place because that behavior is encouraged for exactly what Joe said, because then they can blackmail you.
Yeah, and that's really what it's all about. That's what Skull and Bones is all about. That's why they lay them in coffins and have them have sex with cadavers, and they record it, because they've got this blackmail on tape to where nobody would dare come out and speak against Skull and Bones, because they'll just put their videotapes out there. So it's the same thing with what they've done with Bill Cosby. Now, he's high up on the pyramid, but he's not way high up on the pyramid. In other words, he's got controllers that control him, but he's a programmer himself. As a matter of fact, once you're up to a certain height on the pyramid, you have to be a mind control programmer and know how that works. Bill Cosby is a sex kitten programmer. That's why he's got access to all these Playboy bunnies, and that's why he was doing what he was doing, because that's part of the drugging process. So anyway, like I was saying, I've been friends with one of his victims for years, and she's a 78-year-old grandmother, and she's told me a lot of stuff that she hasn't actually said on TV. This lady's telling me the truth. She's not making this up. She has no hidden agenda. So no, he's done it. But we have to understand why this is happening like it is, why he was put in prison, and why he was let out. And it's not because of a simple technicality. It's because of the people behind the scenes that he's working with, and he's been always working with. And like we said before, he did something to piss somebody off. He made amends. They let him out. That's how the world works.
Do you think that Bill Cosby will go back out on tour as a comedian, or as a one-man show, or my side of the story with Bill Cosby?
I think he's too sick for any of that. He won't be working anymore. He's
his health,
basically
he
blind.
didn't look good there at the press conference.
Yeah, he's basically blind. His health is too bad for that. So
well, the only thing that really ticked me off was he was saying something about putting in Black Lives Matter on that. That just irritated the living out of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do know what you mean. But anyway, on Backlash, you were saying you're familiar with one of his victims as well.
I am. Yep. Friend of the family. Didn't even know it until all this stuff started coming out. And it's like, back in the day, she is also probably my age now. Back in the day, she was an aspiring singer, dancer, whatever, and same damn thing happened to her.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not going to get into any names or anything else on that.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah. And I hear you, and I'm not. Yeah, I totally understand what you did. And the reason I named the lady that did it is because she's public about it. She wouldn't mind if I said her name. So she's been very public about this. You can turn any station on during the trial, and as a matter of fact, she was text text messaging me during his first trial. And while she was at the trial, she was saying what was going on, and I was, texting her back, and she said that. Well, first of all, I said to her, I said it reminds me of what happened when Dallas, the TV show, was popular, and people were seeing Larry Hagman, who played J.R. Ewing, in public, and they were cussing him out because they really thought he was J.R. Ewing. So I was telling Victoria this, and she was texting me back. She says, "Yeah, that's the same thing that's going on here." She said, "He's got fans that think he's really Cliff Huxtable." And it blows her mind, blows my mind that people are like this, but that's how they are. That's how they think.
Joe, you brought up Dallas. Now is a very interesting time in television. And when you look at the cast of characters behind this, correct me if I'm wrong, Dallas was an Aaron Spelling production. Backlash, Google that. Was Dallas an Aaron Spelling production, or was it Lorimar? I think it was Aaron Spelling.
No, I think it was Lorimar.
Was it Lorimar?
I'm pretty sure it was Lorimar, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll look it up.
But you bring up Who Shot JR, and what a great summer that was of the I Shot JR t-shirts.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. See, but at the end of the day, it was Kristen who shot JR.
Right.
Now this is whatever, Joe, is this 1980, 1981?
Somewhere around 1981. Yeah, somewhere around there, 80, 81. Yeah.
Backlash, check that. Who Shot JR? Is that 80 or 81? Because the number one television show on television, hands down, trying to figure out who murdered one of the most evil men on the planet, as the character Larry Hagman was playing, was by the woman he was sleeping with outside of a marriage that he was related to. Kristen was JR's cousin.
Right. That's right.
Incest. Mm-hmm. Isn't that incest, or is that only when it's a parent and a child?
It was, by the way, it happened to be 1980.
Okay. I said it was 80 or 81.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was the whole, for an entire season, incest.
Yeah, right.
Murder.
Right.
Greed. All of that. But the entire country focused on it. The media relished in reporting on it. As again, I Shot JR conventions at Ridgedale Mall. 500 people showed up wearing a t-shirt claiming they shot JR.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's just amazing how just, a fictional TV show that's not even real can just like have everybody at a standstill. And then what I understand is, just in case the plot got out that Kristen shot JR, they had filmed several endings.
Just like the movie Clue. That's correct.
Yeah, right. They had, just in case it got out so they could change it at the last minute if they needed to. So even the cast members, even Larry Hagman, even Patrick Duffy, even those people didn't know which one they were going to air.
We got tangented on Dallas. We were talking about the Bill Cosby and the mind control and the drugs. And I wanted to, do we have any update on Tiger Woods?
Nothing. Not a thing. We haven't heard anything about him in weeks. The last that we heard that he had released a picture of himself in a walking boot on crutches. And that was at least 6 weeks ago, and we haven't heard anything since. So no, there's no update on him.
They are going to bury that story.
I'm telling you, I am telling you, and I'm really surprised. I mean, I've been watching some of the golf tournaments, including that farce DraftKings setup where they disqualified John Rahm from the Memorial because he was 6 shots ahead and he's going to win. So. And I've been watching the golf tournaments and not a word about Tiger. And that's too much of a coincidence. They've been instructed. The announcers have been instructed. Not a word about Tiger Woods. Just concentrate on the tournament at hand. Not a word about him. Not a word about his accent. And that's what they've been doing. They've been going along with that narrative.
All right. Well,
What about, I'm just going to throw this out there. What about since I know some people in the audience and some people that are on the staff are 420 friendly. What about the runner that was disqualified for the Olympics?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. She got qualified because she had was it THC in her system? It was marijuana related. I'm not sure.
She consumed an edible.
Yeah,
after
an edible.
winning.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Because she was upset about her mother that had died, her birth mother that had died, and she said she was upset, so she was doing something to relieve the pain of that, and that's allegedly what they caught her doing. It was, but the thing about it is, it wasn't even a performance enhancing drug.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like a steroid or anything like that. It was pot, basically. But pot is still a banned substance. I mean, it's a stupid rule. It doesn't make any sense because it doesn't help you any. As a matter of fact, it probably hurts you. You don't want to be relaxed and mellow just before your race. Oh,
And Joe,
man.
you ran in track and field
Yeah,
in
right.
your college days.
Right.
And I know you don't smoke cigarettes. I don't think I've ever seen you partake in 420, whether it was legal or not.
Mm-hmm.
But what does it say of a track runner who can smoke a joint or eat an edible, whether before or after an event? The great argument is, how would marijuana affect the runner? And so, I mean, I'm not trying to out you.
No,
Did you ever partake in college?
No. As a matter of fact, I was such a good boy in college. All I cared about was running. All I cared about was winning. All I cared about was that. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. I didn't even know what catching a buzz was until I was 24 years old and not in competition anymore. I mean, that's how clean I was with everything. I was so focused on being a runner and being an athlete, nothing else got in the way.
And in all fairness, she consumed it in a state where it was legal.
Yeah, right. And it is. I mean, she didn't break a law. All she did was that the IOC has laws. The Olympic Committee has their own set of laws.
So let's get into conspiracy on this, Joe. Do you think they're going to use this as the float case or the test case to see if we can just make marijuana legal in all 50 states for the money?
It might be. As a matter of fact, I think I'm leaning toward that because they've been doing this for a long time, and they needed that one instance to push it over the edge. And this just
we had
might
it.
Be
His
it.
name was Michael Phelps.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Michael was definitely.
I'm not trying to be funny.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree.
And we really want to get into the hypocrisy of all of this and performance enhancing drugs, then everybody needs to take off that little yellow wristband on their wrist and shoot themselves in the eye with it, because Lance Armstrong is the walking hypocrisy of drug testing.
Well, once again, even with him, he did something to make somebody mad, because I can guarantee you everybody is doing performance enhancing drugs. I can guarantee I've been in this sport all my life. I mean, I'm not now, but I mean, when I was younger, and I watch it and keep tabs on it up until now. I can guarantee you there is not a single world record in track and field that was not done by a performance enhancing drug. But let's keep in mind what performance enhancing drugs do. They can't take just an average person and turn you into a superstar. That's not how they work. If you suck and you do performance enhancing drugs, you're just going to suck a little bit, not as bad as you would normally. So they're already really good athletes, but it'll take a great athlete and turn you into a superstar. That's how this works. You have to be great in the first place, to hold any kind of Olympic record. But all world records, all of them, are done with a performance enhancing drug with somebody who's already a great runner. There's no way that you can run like a Usain Bolt and not be under the influence of something.
All right. Okay. I can't. I'm going to blow up.
That's true. Everybody knows it.
No, because now I've got to defend something here.
Everybody knows it. It's not even a secret. As a matter of fact, when Carl Lewis and Flojo were the top two runners in the world, they both tested positive. That was swept under the rug because they didn't let it out. So everybody knows it. It's not a secret.
All right. So, Joe, we got stuck there on Dallas in 1980, 1981. So I direct your attention to 1980 in the Olympics. But before that, 1976, Montreal. And there's a problem. And it's a running joke, whether it's the East Germans or the Russians or many of the other Eastern Bloc countries, the athletes they are sending to the Olympics are testing completely full of steroids. The joke of the, Czechoslovakian women's wrestling team is just a bunch of guys that shave their beards.
Yeah,
and
right.
And in 1976, God, I want to say it's 76 and not 72, is Bruce Jenner. Bruce Jenner was an amateur athlete. He paid his own way to get to the Olympics, had no drugs in his system, and blew the doors off everybody. And then the following Olympics in 1980, this young, even I was in love with Mary Lou Retton as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
My God, that nimble little bouncing little freak. However, she was on no drugs when in 1980, it was a joke of all of the European teams that were on steroids. And here was a little farm girl on nothing but spunk and beat the crap out of all of them.
Well,
So there are anomalies that appear in the Olympics or in sports that are not on the drugs per se, or those in control allow that narrative in the fake wrestling of Mary Lou is the one good one and Bruce is the one good one and the rest are all bad.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Just because somebody didn't test positive doesn't mean they're not doing steroids. Because
Agreed.
there's all kinds of, drug masking agents.
Masking and all that, correct.
Sometimes you just have to let it get out of your, some of them are just in your system for 48 hours or less. Some of them don't stay in your system very long, so they know how to get rid of them or get on them and get off of them before they're tested. So just because they never tested positive doesn't mean they're not on drugs. I mean, Florence Griffith Joyner never tested positive, but everybody knew she was doing drugs. Everybody knew it. It was common knowledge. As a matter of fact, Carl Lewis in his book Inside Track, because he was taking some kind of drugs too, but she was way over the top taking drugs. They wanted to do a poster because they were both sponsored by the same shoe company. And Carl Lewis says, I'm not going to do any kind of poster with her. She's taking so many drugs, she's almost a man. This was in his book. So FloJo's camp saw this in Carl Lewis's book called Inside Track, and they said, well, okay, Carl, we're going to sue you for saying that. Carl Lewis came back and says, fine, go ahead and sue me. I'll get people on the stand that know of you firsthand, that has injected drugs in you personally, if you want to do that. And he said, that's the last I heard from the FloJo camp. So this is not a secret. This is common knowledge that these people are on steroids. So we're not saying any groundbreaking news here. It's just that people need to know this, because I think people think, oh, no, not our sweethearts. They're not doing it. Yes, they are. You can't get to that point unless you are. Okay, I'm done.
So staying though in the world of the mind control and those that are allowed to speak in a way versus not, any update on Marvin Hagler?
Nothing. No. And I don't think we're going to get it. We're not anybody famous who has passed away because of the jab. They're going to cover that up. That'll never be put out there. We won't hear from Marvin Hagler, and we won't hear from Hank Aaron. We won't hear another word about it. I can pretty much guarantee you. They will sweep that under the rug. So yeah. Unfortunately, that's how this game is going to work.
All right.
So what do you think about the collapsing hotel? Let's go there.
I'm not buying one word. I am finding it easier to believe the sign language interpreter than I am the officials that are speaking in that podium in Miami.
Yeah.
She's quite the piece of work, by the way, but I don't want to go down that path.
Yeah.
No two sign language translators in the United States are using the same language at this point. I've learned that after 16 months.
Yeah, right.
Joe, The initial Ring camera videos, external videos, are showing brief flashes of light inside that
Yeah,
tower in the
right.
moments before. People are saying, well, that's the street lights through the other windows as the building's falling. Okay. In the meantime, oh my God, we've got a hurricane coming. We're going to have to pull the building. You know, it's going to take months. How long do you think it's going to take to wire a high rise just so you can tear it down? 36 hours.
Well, don't you think they just did the bottom 2 floors, just get in and get that, because it already was unstable? I'm sorry, I'm just gonna go the other direction. I mean, I could see them needing to pull it, but on your side, wanting to know who all was in that building and what happened with that.
I think they were just Biden voters. And I think we're going to find that there are still well more than 100 bodies that are never going to be found. They'll claim they were all vaporized due to the collapse, but this building is full of residents that don't live there.
Yeah, right. And you can see the videotape. I don't know if you guys can, you should be able to pull it up on the internet and see the videotape of it. I mean, it really looks a lot like the building collapses from 9/11. It looks very similar to that. I mean, it was obviously pulled. I mean, you know, buildings don't just collapse in symmetrical like that. That's
Nope.
just ridiculous. Yeah.
Nope.
Now, what they were trying to hide, I'm not really.
Especially if that was water damage.
Yeah.
If we're being told that this was because of the slope of the concrete base under the pool that allowed the water damage to pool up, that allowed the tie rods and the reinforced bars inside the ready mix concrete in order to deteriorate to a level that allowed the building instability, to allow the cracks, that allowed the building to collapse. Sorry. If the Shealy Company, if JL, Dan, and any of them were alive today, they'd be screaming because the Shealy Company is bankrupt. All slabs of Shealy concrete are guaranteed for life. So the lawsuits will begin. They already have. However, and we found more bodies. Just as soon as we demolition, we found more bodies to change the story. No, you cannot get in and wire that building to drop it that fast. If that's the story we're supposed to believe of the last 20 years. And again, I find the timing of this story in the coming hurry up to get to September 11th, 2021. The troops bug out of Bagram Air Force Base. We've got towers free fall collapsing here in the United States due to water. And of course, the politicians now can't rule out climate change when it came to the Miami Tower collapse.
Of course.
The most irresponsible journalism to date. Well, we can't rule it out yet. Okay, so the idiot who just said that on the news, can we at least say that we can't rule you out as being responsible for the collapse? How irresponsible is that talk?
Yeah, but you know what? That's the way the world works. We're talking a little bit about that earlier, because people have to understand the people that are doing this, the people that are behind events like this, like 9/11, like, you know, the school shootings, all this stuff, also control the media. I think that's a hard concept for most people to digest, even, and they just don't want to believe it, that there a small group of people can control the media, what the media is reporting, entertainment, like the movies, TV. We've got a very small people at the top controlling all of that. And I think that's an issue that people just can't wrap their head around. They think those are all separate entities that are all kind of, you know, doing their own things. Like, no, they're all controlled by the same people. That's why they all follow the same narrative.
Well, and that's what's funny is I think it was Murdoch? I can't remember who it was. It was before Murdoch. I think it was Hearst. It was Hearst way back when he built his castle out in California.
Mhm.
And he was trying to, you're right. I mean, they tried to control what was coming out. You know, long are the days where it was just the news and nothing but the news.
Yeah. Those are
every station has its own slant.
I'll give them the story. That's what Randolph Hearst was quoted as saying. Just give me the pictures. I'll give them the story.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and people just don't realize how powerful of a medium TV is. I mean, TV is the biggest mind control tool that has ever been created. And even Richard Nixon knew about that. He says people won't believe anything until they see it on TV. So he even understood, as outrageous and ridiculous as it is, if people see it on TV, they'll believe it. I mean, the people
Didn't
that are in control of the TV stations have it made. I mean, my gosh, they can get the public to buy anything.
didn't Bill Clinton make a quote similar, Joe? About
Probably, yeah, probably so. Because they all understand. They all understand. They're all versed in mind control. They're all some kind of programmers. You have to be a programmer to be a U.S. president, and
I thought you
so
just
they all
needed
know
to be a
about that.
33rd degree Mason.
Well, you do. But keep in mind, 33rd degree Masons are also mind control programmers. They're
All right.
they're all versed in all those all those I guess you want to call them scientific studies, if you will. But
For the
they're all
rituals.
versed in it. Yeah, what's that?
Do you think the last president that was not in that realm was JFK?
I think that he was too. His parents definitely were.
Yeah, and he went rogue.
Yeah, and he would have been familiar with it himself. But for some reason, unknown to us, you're right, he went rogue. Somewhere along the line, he decided to go his own way and says, I'm not going to be a part of this anymore, which ultimately got him killed. But yeah, he would have been well aware of all that stuff, and he would have been required to know all about it himself. Yeah, he would have known. But like we were talking about, he went rogue. Somewhere along the line, he decided to do the right thing. And we see what happens when people decide to do the right thing. It doesn't end well.
I do have an honest question and I want to phrase it or frame it differently than how we normally talk about things. We are all the children of parents. And sadly, we've all come to the age now where we've been with our parents and watched them deteriorate and sadly pass. And removing political ideology at this point, when I was doing the Scooter McGee show, by 2017, 2018, I couldn't go after Nancy Pelosi on the air anymore with a clear conscience, because it appeared to me as if, whether it was a chemical imbalance or alcohol and drug imbalance or something, but Nancy Pelosi wasn't acting normal, let's say. And we're at a place now where our current seated president of the United States does not appear to be at full faculty. And no one wants to say anything, is my impression of it. I'm curious, removing the Democrat or Republican or the politics behind it, what are your thoughts of the current images that are being displayed by the White House of Joe Biden?
I think they're doing it intentionally. I think they see the thing about these people is even with us, even the things that we notice, even the things that we are exposing and telling people about, even those things are put there intentionally. Even those are breadcrumbs for us to find. And they know, they know that 99% of people won't find them. They know some people like us will figure it out. But even with us, they're putting them there for us to find. So when they have these pictures of Biden, who just looks like he's completely out of it, they're doing that intentionally. They're giving you breadcrumbs. They're going, dude, this dude is senile. He's under mind control himself. He's under something for sure. But they're doing it on purpose. They're doing it for people to notice, and a lot of people just won't notice. But
Joe,
that's the way they do things.
The latest biggest flub was he was asked a question about Miami. He said, hold on a minute. He pulled the piece of paper out of his breast pocket of his suit coat, and he said, let me see what they want me to say. The number one question right now should be, who are they? Who are the people behind the scenes controlling the president, writing down on pieces of paper to put in his pocket, so when he's up on that stage, he doesn't flub again.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No, you're exactly right. But keep in mind how they do, why and how, and the instances in the past where they've been doing this. Robbie Parker with Sandy Hook. Okay, we see him just about to go and give his speech, and he's laughing, and then all of a sudden he gets his crying face on. Okay. Now, that wasn't like, oh, look at what we caught. Oh, we caught him smiling. No, that was put out there intentionally. That was put out there for people to find. That was put out there for people to see.
Do
They
you
wanted
really
you to see
think
that.
in that case that was not an accident? Do you really
No,
think that was deliberate in that
that
case?
was deliberate. That was absolutely deliberate. Yeah, because they would know that. Because the people that put those videotapes out there are in control of what we see. So they would have seen that. If they really didn't want us to see that, they would have deleted it or edited it to where we couldn't see that. The only reason
All
it
right.
got out is because they wanted us to see it. And they know that 99% of people won't see it. They know some people will. But once again, that's put out there for people like us to find and tell you about. So in a sense, they're kind of manipulating us too, because most of the things we tell you are breadcrumbs. Now, what they don't want is for us to interpret that and tell you that they're doing that. That's not necessarily what they want, but they do want you to see it. There's no question about that.
Well, gentlemen,
Well, isn't that?
I hate to interrupt you, Scooter. We've got I'm going to probably get cut off right in the middle of talking.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you guys can go for about another 20 minutes, and I'll have to send you a link on it. But
I can.